Oh, okay. So I can start sharing my screen here, right? Let's see.
Hmm.
Okay, great. So hi everyone. I'm really happy to be here, and I want to, thank IGO for having me. I'm really honored to be here. This is a group, the auto industry, shop owners, people in this group, people in this industry. I have to tell you, they really are near and dear to me. And I'll go into why, a little bit later. But I just love being part of the industry. So, a little bit about me for the people that don't know me. I am an automotive leadership coach. I have been a shop owner since 1999. I own a shop in Norwalk, Connecticut with my husband, Tony, and we're about an hour away from New York City. We have three grown children, and I was in the banking industry before we opened up our shop. I'm also a speaker. I really like giving back to the industry as well. And I'm an optimist. And if you want to ask me about that later on, I'd be happy to discuss that with you. I also do a Coach's Corner blog for ASA, and I'm a board member of ATRA, which is the Automatic Transmission Rebuilders Association. Proud to be part of that organization. So within the industry, I've done work with Ask Patty. I know Carm Capriato, been on Remarkable Results. He does an amazing podcast. And Women in Auto Care is another industry that I've done some work with. Outside of the industry, I've done some work with AARP and SCORE. So when you get to know me, you'll realize that write down my core beliefs are if businesses grow, right? Business will grow as owners and leaders grow. And with that being said, today the topic is crush the money stories affecting your business. So, really, what I want to do is I want to unpack for you what a thriving business looks like. People want to achieve $1 million shop or seven-figure a shop. How you do that? A 24-hour work week. Now that kind of seems strange to a lot of people, but how do you go about doing that? And work-life balance, which is a huge thing. I actually did a survey within the industry a couple of months ago and got some amazing feedback on work life balance challenges and how many people felt that it really was a challenge. And then we're going to go over the number one money story mistake that shop owners make. I've done this myself. I'm definitely guilty of it. And I see it all of the time. So, money stories, like what are they? Like we all have them, but really, what are they? Money stories are formed during our childhood. These are the stories that are all around money. Okay. It's what we're told about money and what we were taught about money and what we experienced with money. And sometimes it's not even direct, it's very, very subtle. And how this happens is we'll hear terms such as money doesn't grow on trees or money comes from hard work. Money's the root of all evil. Rich people use other people to make their money. People like me don't have a lot of money, or it takes money to make money. So you get the point. All right. The idea is we grow up hearing certain things and we can take them and internalize them and not even realize how it affects our personal life and our business life as we get older and how we form these opinions. So what happens is all of the stories that we have that we tell ourselves, but today we're talking about the money ones, they really do shape a lot of beliefs that we have. And then what we believe determines that the actions that we're going to take. And this happens with a lot of different things. So, to give you a little bit of insight on me, my money story, I grew up in a family where my dad was in construction, he was a contractor. So, I grew up being around a lot of subcontractors, plumbers, electricians, tile people, roofers, all of this. And everyone worked hard for their money. That's what I saw. My family really didn't have formal discussions about money. They never really talked about it. But we moved when I was 11 years old, and we moved to an affluent neighborhood. and it was very, very different. I noticed it right away and I couldn't put my finger on it. And it was a time where the economy wasn't doing so well, and prices for lumber, prices for all of the different building materials were going through the roof. And my parents were right in the middle of building a home. So there were a lot of worries, and there was a lot of money stress in the house. So I was so upset about it and concerned about it. They actually went to my mom and said, are you and dad going to get divorced? And she assured me no. And luckily, they were able to work everything out. Didn't happen, but that it made a huge influence on me at 11 years old. So when I was 16, I was determined that I was going to be in control of my money, and I wanted to go out and I wanted to get a job. And I was really excited to do that. And then what happened was I ended up dating, and my boyfriend had some of the same money concerns that I had. So we were young, but we became these savers because we felt that if we did, we would be able to control our money. We were kids. We ended up getting married. I married my high school sweetheart, Tony, and we ended up buying a home. Because we were such savers, we were fortunate enough that we were able to have a down payment and we were able to buy a home. And we were young. I had a really good job in banking. I worked there for 7 years in management. And I'm going to tell you that that banking job was the best education, money education that I had, because I really learned to see money as a tool. I heard so many stories that just broke my heart over people that had gotten into all kinds of financial challenges with money. And, it affected relationships, it affected families. It was just so many different things. And it really taught me over those 7 years what to do and what not to do when it came to money. So, like I said, it was definitely one of the best educations I had. And I had a lot of good mentors, people that were helping me. And I was rising up the ladder, within that company. So I left banking for a while to raise our family. And then after my children were old enough to go back to school, I wanted to go back to work. I missed it. And I wanted to get back into management. So I put a few phone calls out there. And to my surprise, any management roles now required a degree, degree that I didn't have. And I was doing the job already. I had been doing it. But now, in my mind, the only thing that I heard was no degree, no value. I had no value, and I felt less than. It was just an awful blow, like a punch in the gut. So Tony and I were faced with a challenge. We had 3 children, right? And now I'm thinking we're back to worrying about money again. How are we going to build wealth and security for our future? So it was something that we were really thinking about. And then we decided to take the plunge. We figured that this was an opportunity that we could really control our future. We took his experience as a technician who always wanted to open his own shop, and he had been a technician for 18 years, and the skill sets that both of us had, my banking experience, his skills as a tech, mine with the banking side, the business side of the business, if you will. And we became auto shop owners in 1999. That's when we opened up Croce's Transmission Specialists. And I was excited. I joined industry associations. I really wanted to learn about the industry and also local organizations too, because I wanted to really learn about business and understand how we could be a better resource to our community. So I was like a sponge, taking in all of the information that I could, at the time. So we were challenging ourselves. And this was the kind of challenge that you're excited about. But I have to say, it wasn't easy. It really, really was not easy. I was doing customer service, I was doing marketing, I was doing bookkeeping, and I was doing HR. And within 2 years, definitely less than 3 years, I felt like I was burnt out. And I really started becoming resentful because the time that I was putting in, the time that I was missing out at home, it was affecting our relationship. Because not only were we trying to build this business, but we were trying to navigate and figure out how the heck do we work together. And even if you're a business owner and you're not working with your spouse, I still find it challenging when I talk to other owners because you need that support from that partner, right? From your partner, your significant other. And if we don't have that, it really can affect our relationship. So Tony was the technician and he had to build skills because after a few years, the goal was to take him out of being the tech and take him more into the front. So he had to develop new skills as well. And the challenge that we really had for both of us was if I was working on something and kind of like building a skill, learning something new, he could be very supportive. And for me, I could do the same for him. But the biggest struggle was when we were both trying to do it at the same time. It's hard to see another person struggle. And that was probably the most challenging times. Those are the most challenging times for us. And once we realized what was happening and we were able to kind of like break it down, that's when things started getting better because we were able to really identify it and support one another. So the biggest money story mistake that shop owners make is the one that I was doing. I was trying to do it all. And here's how it happens. We think that we're going to save money because, well, why should I get some, why should I pay somebody to do that when, it's something that I can do it, no big deal. And we really don't know the skills that are needed or involved. So we dive into that. But the downside of it is you have no time. You're just doing everything and your work becomes your entire life. You have the experience. So that's why you want to do it. And you say, well, okay, I can do this. Well, just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it because we're not empowering other people. We're not allowing other people to grow. And maybe that's their skill set. They're really better apt to do that than we are. And I love this one because I hear this one all the time. No one cares more than me about my business. And so I'm going to push back on this one and say, well, why should they? Why should anybody care about our businesses the same way that we do? If you look in your area where your business is, the business down the street from you that maybe is a deli or whatever it is, any kind of a business that's on the street, do you care about that business as much as you care about your own? Of course not. So it's an unrealistic expectation that you're going to bring people in and hand things off and they're going to care about it as much as you. We want them to have a level of care, but it's just unrealistic for someone to care as much as you. And it doesn't mean that they're not qualified to do things in your business or for your business. And then the last one that I hear a lot is it's our business or it's my business. And when they say that and you dig a little bit deeper, have a hard time separating yourself from the business. So the business really becomes your identity. It's you. And that can be a dangerous area in a lot of different ways, and it can really hold you back. Seeing your business as a business is really important, separating it from yourself. So I tell people this all the time. When you get inside this headspace and you're trying to do it all, ask yourself this question. Is this a me thing or is this a true thing? Do I really have to be the one who is doing the oil change right now? Or can someone else be doing it? Maybe you want to do it. Maybe you need to kind of cool off from a phone call that just happened. So you want to go out into the garage and, you want to do something over there, trying to like, shift gears, so to speak. But it's not a true thing. It's just a you thing. So really important. It's insightful. It's like introspective. So I understand grit. right? And I understand because I did this myself. Tony and I did this. The habits and routines that we created and developed early on in our business, what happens is when your business starts growing, they stop serving you. They stop serving your team and they stop serving your business. Because as I said, right, businesses grow as owners grow and leaders grow. So we constantly have to be developing our skills. And what we did 6 months ago doesn't work now. This is a perfect way of looking at it with the pandemic that we're going through. The way that we did things even, a year ago is not the same exact way we're doing things now. And it brought a lot of attention to a lot of things that maybe people should have been doing, but they were reluctant to change, reluctant to shift on. But now, because of the restrictions, because of the pandemic, we're kind of forced to create new routines and habits. So, what I realized when I was in that situation was I needed help to become a thriving shop. And what I call a thriving shop, a thriving business, is a business that's profitable, sustainable, and enjoyable. So, besides making a paycheck for yourself and having a job, a thriving business needs to be profitable. You need to be able to have funds in your business that you're making a profit. Some money you may want to reinvest, but there has to be money there to be profitable. No one will invest in a company, right? Even outside of the industry, that's not a profitable business. They don't want to do that. Your business needs to be sustainable. You don't want to be able to burn yourself. You don't want to get to the point where I was at burnout, and we can go and go and go, but it's not sustainable. Something will happen, something will let go. Health, right? Energy level, whatever, relationships, all of that. And then enjoyable. If you get to the point where you dread going into work, that's a good sign that it's not enjoyable. When your business is enjoyable, you're excited about going and you're looking forward to that week, that next day. So to do this and to get my head wrapped around this, what I said was I was going to let go of the customer service role that I had taken on because I was just wearing too many hats. So what I did was I hired a summer, I hired summer help. It was a college student. She was looking for a summer job, and she, for me, it was great because I was afraid I wasn't going to have enough of work for 40 hours. So I said, this will be a great fit. She'll have a summer job and I can kind of test the waters here. So the key thing is here is when she came on, what I said to her, this is a new position. I've been doing it, but I really want to formalize it. So besides being the customer service representative, what I'd really like you to do is document how you check in the vehicles, our process for answering the phones, how we deliver the vehicle, at the front counter when the customer comes in and we go over the repair order, all of that. Wanted her to document everything. So she did. And she really got excited about it because I said to her, if you see a way that maybe it's taking 3 steps or 4 steps and you can maybe make it even simpler, let me know. I would love your input. Well, she ran with that. And she helped us with a lot of different things, our loaner car process, all different things. She came up with different suggestions. So after the summer was over, she asked me, could I stay on? And she said, I'm going to be going to school part time. I need to make some money. So I said, I would love to have you to stay on. So she stayed on for 2 years. And then she graduated and she went off into her field. And here's the cool part. When she left 2 years later, I was so ready to hire full time. And the best part was I had all the documentation to onboard and train the next person that I hired because what she did for that position was she really took it to the next level and she was willing to work with me. So when I hired that representative for the summer help, in my mind, this was the image that I thought of my customers. And this is kind of maybe at first it may be kind of like, say, wow, but I wanted our customers to really value our customer service, to see our brand, that we were there for them. And I didn't want it to be just someone who was just going to check off boxes, answer the phone, take messages. I really wanted them to take that role to the next level. And it worked out well. So there's a tool that I use, and I want to share it with you because this was eye opening for me. Once I hired her and I really dove in and I said, wow, what else am I going to be able to take off my plate? Because I can't keep going on like this, doing all these roles and wearing all these hats. So I created this scorecard, owners shop owner scorecard tool. And it's really, really simple. But like I said, what it does is it helps you figure out what activities you're spending most of your time on during the day, during the week, even during a month. You could use it the way you want. So I want to show that to you right now. So basically, what this is I've divided what it costs a business, right? What it costs a business to put people in the different roles in our business. Okay. So, for example, the dollar amount, the little dollar symbols are at the top. So, if you want to have someone come in and do activities for you, like answer phones, schedule appointments, answer customer service type questions, check emails, verify parts billing, things like that, some filing, and then like even things that a porter will do, clean up, make sure everything's safe in the shop, those types of things, shuttle customers, all of that. I just put a few things in here, but you can go in and put in your shop. That is an activity that is not going to cost your business a lot of money to fill that role. That is probably the lowest cost, not lowest level, not at all. I don't want it to be taken that way, but cost to your business to fill that role, to get those activities done. The next one is anyone who really has some kind of technical or skills as far as being trained, like someone who's trained in sales, technical skills, so technicians, someone that you would have come into your shop to maybe do repairs. You'd have to hire someone, electrician, carpenter, whatever, improvements, those types of things. If you were going to outsource or delegate, like bookkeeper, if you were going to do a marketing firm or website company, those types of things, it would be a higher price point, a cost to your business. And then we go into the third section, management, accountant, an attorney, like a coach or an advisor, maybe a financial planner, um, a CFO in your company. Those would be higher. So now when we get to the top, the highest paid, right? Generating sales, activities that are going to be generating sales and revenue, the planning that's going to be involved in your business. This is where the owner sits. This is the activities that the owner is responsible for. Two, when I work with clients, two of the main things that we go over is your MVP, which is your mission, your vision, and your purpose. I've heard on several different types of calls and stuff like that. Definitely include your team in that, and I couldn't agree more. But the owner needs to be the foundation of that. You need to set that, because team members will be with you. Some team members will leave, and you don't constantly, continually change up your mission, vision, and purpose depending on who's there. As the owner, you're the foundation. So you're the one who sets that. And then the idea is to get people to buy into that. Hire people that are in alignment with you. The big three is, to me, is something that the three things that an owner is always responsible for, no matter what stage of business you're in. And it's relationships. You need to always be building relationships. Your numbers, you need to know your numbers, and you need to understand your numbers. And messaging, you have to determine the messaging that that company, your business, is going to put out, the message that you want to send out in your marketing, to everyone. That's going to be determined by you. And your job as the owner is to build relationships with your accounts, your suppliers, your vendors, to get out there and do some networking and constantly building your skills, because it really does take a different skill set to be an owner of a shop than it does to be a service advisor or a technician. It's a different set of skills because it's a different role. So this tool really helped me separate myself from my business. The shop isn't me, it's a business. And to really look at your business really objectively, there's another process that I use, and I wanted to share it with you. And basically, it's the 3 C's, I call it. It's a repeatable process that all shop owners can use. And basically, I find that most shop owners sit in number 3, action, right? The cars come in, we want to get the cars out, we got to keep moving, we got to keep going. You're doers, right? Just like my dad was, just like my husband was. We're doers and we want to get things done. So it's easy to sit in the action place. But really, the first step is understanding, okay? Understanding your role and goal as an owner, understanding all of those things that I was just discussing with you, right? The mission, the vision, the purpose, understanding those things. Because once you start understanding, then you can go into the next phase, because you went in and you started assessing, what are my skill sets? What am I really, really good at? Besides, being a service advisor or, being a technician, a lot of times what we're really good at doesn't even challenge us as much as it used to when we were brand new at it. It actually becomes easy because we've gotten really proficient at it and really good at it. So assessing your other skill sets is really good to do. And then go into the next phase, which is planning, being a little bit more strategic. This is where really when you focus on the right things to do, right? What should we be focusing on as a business right now? And a lot of that will be determined on what stage of business are you in? Are you brand new? Are you like a one-person shop and you're just starting out? Do you have one team member? Do you have a team and you're at a different stage and now you're trying to get a little bit more accountability in your business from your team? Are you looking to develop leaders? It really depends on what stage you are. So this is really customizable to you and you could use this. And then taking action. And the taking action part is, now that we know we're focusing and we're going to be doing the right things, the action part is we want to do them right. So we know, for example, that we want to bring more work in. We have to have more work coming in the pipeline, okay, with COVID and all of that. That's something that everyone could relate to a few months ago. Well, how do we do that correctly? How do we do that action and take it? So systems and processes that we put into place make a huge difference in doing that. And here's the magic that happens. When you understand what you're supposed to be focusing on, and then you put a plan together, all of a sudden you gain clarity, and that excites you. And you're a good communicator because you have that clarity. You know exactly what to say to the team. The next thing that happens is when you have your plan in place and now you're focusing on the right things for your stage of business, what happens, and now you're doing them right, now you have control. You don't feel as though you're putting out as many fires as you used to. You could actually take a day, or before COVID, right, when we used to travel for seminars, you would go and you would come back and you weren't at the seminar saying to someone, oh, I wonder what my business is going to be like on Monday, or what I'm going to walk into. You don't have people blowing up your phone. You're actually in control. And lastly, when you understand the actions that you're supposed to take and you are tracking them and you're going back and you're kind of looking at the replay, assessing, how did it work? Do we need to tweak it? Just like professional athletes do. They always go in, whether they won or they lost, they go back and they review the videotape. You don't see people at a pro level turning around and going, oh no, I don't need to look at that. So we need to think of ourselves as pro, when it comes to being a business owner. And when you have that combo of clarity, control, and confidence, that's what I call a thriving business. Because when you have that clarity, you actually enjoy going in, you're excited about it. And when you have that control, your business is now sustainable. You're not burning yourself out. And when you are confident, your business is profitable because you do understand what's going on in your business. You understand your numbers. You're communicating with your team. You're getting feedback for them. You're asking for their input and you're taking that action. So this is what a thriving business looks like. So when you gain clarity, it's really easy to it's really a simple way of creating the income that you want to come into your business because you now have a plan that you can follow. And when you're in control and you're not putting out those fires, you can actually create a 24-hour work week. You can actually say, am I going to go in 3 days a week or am I going to go in like 4 partial days a week? You can set that up the way you want, customize it for how it works for you. And when you have that confidence in your business, now what's happening is you're able to have that work-life balance. Is there something that you kind of like have this burning desire to do? Is it some way of giving back to your community? Is it something that you want to do and help the industry, a way that you want to help the industry? You can now do that. Do you want to mentor people? Do you want to donate? There's all different ways. You want to get more involved with your kids because they haven't seen you in a long time. So there's a lot of ways that you can customize that work-life balance for you. So we all have a money story, right? What we were taught, what we were told, and what we experienced in our life when it was around money. What's your story? Your story's not going to be the same as mine, and that's fine. But you have a story. I advise you, after this to dig deep or talk to a friend, reach out to another, owner, but really think about what your money story was because each of us has an emotional relationship with money, right? And, did you ever, give that emotional relationship with money a thought? Like, did you ever really think about it? Because it could be something that's really positive and it could be something that's negative. If we don't feel good about our money, we can sabotage ourselves from building wealth. And if we do feel good about money, then we're really more likely to achieve the wealth and the security that we're looking for. I mean, if we weren't looking for that, why go into business? If you're looking for a paycheck, you can do that going into any industry. You don't need to have a business to get a paycheck. But in the end, a lot of times what we end up doing is creating a job for ourselves. So how does our money stories affect our business? There's 5 areas, 5 pillars in every business, whether you're in the industry or out of the industry. You have your financial pillar, your people pillar, your operations and technical, your sales and your marketing. So when I explain this, I want you to keep in mind that your team, your customers, your suppliers and vendors, they all have money stories too. And you can probably think of conversations that you had with people over the years and probably even more recently, where if you really think about it, wow, yeah, those money stories and how they felt about money, really did show up. So if you put someone on the sales counter and they're having a hard time with their money stories, they may be struggling with sales conversations. They may be like talking too much and just not asking for the okay, for the approval. They could be having a real hard time with it. If they weren't around, this industry before, do they even understand the cost of what's involved? It might be very foreign to them. So that might be a discussion that needs to be had. In your marketing, if we're marketing and we're using our money story, we may be marketing discounts everywhere. Here you go, discounts, discounts, or we may be putting ourselves out there as pricing, just listing a bunch of prices. And now people see as a commodity. The other thing that might happen is we use words like fair pricing, and it's very subtle, but it actually makes people think that, oh, if this person's fair, then I'm getting the feeling that they're saying most of the industry isn't. That's not really the message that we want to send. And when it comes to people, are we attracting like-minded people? So when we're interviewing people, are we listening and asking questions and hearing a little bit about what they're telling us? I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this person's kind of like me. I want to hire them. We want to hire people that have different skills. We want to hire people that have skills that we don't have. And some of these people may have some of the same money stories, operations. It's really important to keep current with not only the the advances in technology from the production side, right, from getting the work out, but also the business technology. And there's a lot of different softwares and things out there that we could use. I mean, DVI is one of them. That's a big one that people talk about. Well, what's the cost of not making those small shifts and changing? Because we may be holding on so tightly that we're not spending money that we need to operate our business as a professional. And then the financial pillar, really knowing and understanding your numbers. And this just isn't professionally, it's personally. There is a lot of challenge in this country with financial literacy. It's not something that is taught in school. And being in banking and being comfortable with numbers, it's something that, quite frankly, really burns me up because I think that school systems in general, over the years, I have three grown children, had done a real disservice of not teaching basic financial numbers and financial literacy. And people, are getting themselves into a lot of debt personally. And if you don't have that under control personally, and then you go into a business, it's really difficult. So it's something that I really push for. Understanding and knowing the numbers is so important. So the first step in being able to like crush the money stories is really don't be hard on yourself, because a lot of times when we kind of unpack our money story, we find out that it's a you thing, right? It's a me thing, it's a you thing, but it's not a true thing. The things that we believe may have been something that we internalized, but it doesn't mean it's necessarily true. There's a lot of fear when it comes to money and success as well. So the thing here is a lot of times people fear being judged. If I'm successful or I get to a certain point, whatever that magic number is for you, am I going to be judged? Oh, look at that person, they have it and, they think this or that. All of the responsibility that comes with growing and bringing on team members and growing a business. Am I able to handle that? So that's another fear. What happens if I get there? How do I maintain it? What if I lose it? What if something happens? That's another thing that we think of. And then rejection. A lot of times people are holding themselves back because if they heard certain things about money when they were growing up, they're afraid that even by family and friends, they may be rejected. Oh, you're one of them now, that type of feeling. So groups like this, I think, are wonderful because we have a lot of people in this group that have an I'm curious mindset. I learned so much from other shop owners, you know, since 99 and just being a sponge. I love it. Every conversation I have, there's always a takeaway. And here's the thing. I know we want to help the industry, and I know that we want to give back and reach a lot of people, because as we pull others up and we learn, and we're learning from other people who have done things that we haven't done yet, it's a great thing. But you have to realize we're not going to reach everyone, and it's okay. Because if you can't reach them now, it doesn't mean that 6 months or a year or 2 years from now that they won't be ready. So the truth is that when you go into any of our industry groups, money mindset really always comes up. I hear it in discussions, or see it, I should say, right? Because we're not in person now. Labor, when it comes to labor rates, people struggle with that. And a lot of it is about these money stories and money mindset. You give them the tools, you tell them what to do, but yet they just can't do it. There's something holding them back. The challenge with, say, difficult customers, customer doesn't understand me, they don't value what I do, those types of things. And being able to hire and find great talent. And a lot of this comes back to, are we attracting the customers that we want? Or are we putting marketing out that we're not attracting the customers that we want? We're looking for great talent, but are we the shop that great talent wants to come and work for, work with? Are we the owner? Are we the leader that those people want to be around? So a lot of times we look outside ourselves, but I always say, let's start with ourselves. And here's the big thing. Do you value what other people do? So if, let's say, a shop owner is calling up their vendor and they're giving them a hard time about price, can you give me the best deal? Or, can you do better? This, that, and they're kind of going into that little bit of a challenge with pricing. But yet they turn around and they say, but my customers don't want to pay. Well, we're doing the exact same thing that we don't want people to do to us. So we have to be mindful of that. Do we want the value? Do we want to build relationships with great vendors? Then all of that other stuff goes away. So we want to make sure that we're not doing, the same things that we don't want done to us. So the number one mistake that shop owners make when it comes to our money story is trying to do it all. And when you look at this chart, I suggest you make your own and go in and review it and really see where you're spending most of your time. You can do it for a week, you can do it for, a month, and just kind of see, wow, this is an eye opener. I really should be focusing on these higher level activities so that we can bring more money in. But yet I find myself over here, running around, putting out fires, doing all these other things. And it's huge. It's an eye opener. So understanding your role and your goal as the owner is huge. Understanding and working through your MVP, your mission, vision, and purpose. That's a tongue twister. And then the big three. Keeping in mind that you should always be working on your messaging, as we know that changed a little bit during COVID, right? So that's something that you always need to be working on. Relationships is another thing. Having relationships and being able to talk to your suppliers and your vendors and other shop owners in your area, and look at all of the training from all different associations that came in, that they wanted us to know that they were there for us, right? And then the financials, being able to really go in and not be intimidated by them. Don't let them intimidate you. It's something that we can tackle and we can learn. It's just a different skill. It's a skill that we can build. So challenge yourself to do that. So to keep it simple again, because I like to keep things simple, we all have an even playing field. Because when we think about all the different resources we have, there's really only four: money, people, skills, and time. So how much money that you have coming in your business, knowing those numbers, knowing how to use your money properly is important. People, the connections that you have, the relationships that you have, people that you can reach out to is very valuable. The people that you have on your team, the skills that you have, the skills that your team has, those are resources that you could rely on. And of course, time. We all have 24 hours in a day, but it's how we use it, how we use these resources to maximize them is what's really powerful. So I learned that money is a tool. And with that tool, it gives me the freedom to choose where I live, what I spend, what I keep, and what I give. And it will tell me and you your net worth, but it never tells you your worth as a human being, as a person. And here's something that I learned. even as a child. And when we moved into that very affluent neighborhood, and I really struggled because it was culture shock. My brother and sister were a lot younger than me. So they probably didn't notice it as much as I was, but middle school age is kind of a tough age to move. But I've met people, giving people who were wealthy and giving people who were struggling. And I've met entitled people who were wealthy and entitled people who were struggling. It wasn't the money. It never was the money. It's just your perception of it. So when you shift your perspective of money, you can actually change it and it can be your competitive edge because chances are your competition is not doing this. And you can make your business more profitable, sustainable, and enjoyable. And I know, the word competition I use very loosely because we have great relationships with the other shops that are in our area. But here's the thing. Tony and I, over the years, have actually tried to help and have conversations with some shop owners in the area. And there were times that they were just not hearing anything. They didn't feel uh, receptive to it. And it was subtle, like, hey, here's what we tried. You might want to try it type of thing. So even though you want to share, there are going to be people, again, that just aren't ready. And you have to be able to willing to back off and just leave your door open because as we know, when we help everyone in the industry, it definitely builds up the industry. So my question to you now is, what are you going to choose? Is your money story going to drive you, right? Or is it going to hold you back? Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And I want to be respectful of your time. If you have any questions, definitely, if we have time for that, I'd be happy to answer them. I'm an open book. Or if you have questions afterwards, or you just want to chat, you could always email me at Maryann at smallbizvantage.com. I'll stop sharing my screen and this way.
Anybody have any questions?
Thank you.
Oh, you're
Appreciate you.
welcome. Glad to have you here.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. We enjoyed it.
Well, thanks so much for coming. Yeah, I appreciate it. I just wanted to let everybody know that I really got involved and dove in when my husband and I went to our first association, a training together. I was so excited because I wanted to learn so much about the industry. And it was like a light bulb moment when I said to my husband, he was in all the technical training classes and I was in the management training classes. And I said to him, wow, I said, this is like amazing. And he said, what is it? And I said, it's just like the construction space. They're talking about the same exact challenges, So it was really an eye opener for me, but I got to meet so many great people, and this industry has it. There's no lack of grit or work ethic here, and it's just an industry that I absolutely love, and I'm really proud to be in because there's so many people in here that I admire and respect. So thank you so much for having me, and for everyone that showed up. I hope.
Thanks so much, Maryann.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Night.
Night.